This is Scott Richmond.
And Arnie Sherman.
You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM. Arnie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Scott.
How are you?
You know, I'm good today and have been good for the last few days. And I'm psyched up about our guest today. Something that alpha guys like us should be really primed to fall flat on our face on. We have Danica Winters joining us today,
right?
Who is author of Harlequin romance novels.
Oh yeah,
which is a big thing, but not something that we are personally. Maybe you, but not me. I'm not personally familiar with the sort of the underground movement in Harlequin,
I appreciate the genre. I appreciate the genre and appreciate the economic viability of the genre, but it's not my content.
It's not our content now, but at one point, we did participate, whether knowingly or not. For example,
how so?
Well, Gone with the Wind was written as a romance novel.
Oh, sure.
For example, and how many times have you seen that? I mean, we've seen it, the movie version many times in our life.
Yep.
The movie Love Story, you had to be dragged in to see that, right?
Yes.
At some point, with your girlfriend, date, wife, etc. Most recently, the one that probably had some male interest was 50 Shades of Grey.
That's more my speed.
More your speed. But historically, things like the Pride and Prejudice and Jane Austen, those are all, I think, would fall under the general category of romance novels. And maybe the one that's the most popular of recent time was The Notebook.
Oh yeah.
Which I think many men were dragged into the movie theaters to see. But we do have Danica, who is
I think it's pronounced Danica.
Danica.
So Danica, I know. Well, Danica is, and she's a local product.
Right.
She's from here.
She's from Montana. She's from Frenchtown. She is an Amazon best-selling author, won numerous awards. And she writes some of her novels with a little bit of paranormal romance to it, which we're going to find out.
What does that mean?
Well, dating a ghost. I don't know. Yeah.
You're never around?
I had some dates in college that I would consider paranormal, but we won't get into that on this particular show. She spends a lot of time, in the wilds of Montana, and some of her writings have had a Montana theme to them, and I want to find out about what's going on in this, what I consider underground writing by women for women, and what's happening in that movement, and how have things changed over time, and obviously the more personal things about why she chose that genre to write in.
Who is
very
she?
Limited. Yeah.
Let's find out who Danica.
Danica Winters. And we're going to find out very shortly.
The only Danica I know is the gal who's the NASCAR driver.
Right, exactly.
So,
Who's more in something we're familiar with, as opposed to romance novels.
Well, what's also interesting is that this time of year, this is, the vacation time for folks and families. So a good Harlequin romance novel, right, is a great way to kind of eat up time while you're
Harlequin is kind of
sand.
Interesting because Harlequin has become a word like Kleenex that gets associated with tissues.
Yep.
Harlequin really has nothing to do, the word itself, with romance novels, but we always... it's a publishing company, right?
Right.
But they've been so identified with that particular niche in writing that when you think of a Harlequin novel, you think of that particular kind of novel. So they've really identified themselves in that way.
Do you know the origins of Harlequin?
Well, a Harlequin is... as a noun, I think a court jester or somebody that is
it female?
A performer. No, I don't think it's necessarily
gender?
female. And as an adjective, I think it describes colorful or somebody in a splendid outfit, dressed in a Harlequin gown or something like that.
Right.
So I think they've just taken that and attached it to novel and captured a visual and visceral representation, because when you think of Harlequin novels, you insert the word romance in the middle, and that's what it becomes.
You're right. It's right.
You're looking it up as we speak.
I am.
Was I right? I had no idea.
Adjective is in varied colors, variegated, multicolored, many-colored, colorful. As a noun, it's a mute character in traditional pantomime, typically masked and dressed in a diamond pattern.
So I was close, right? I was pretty
your
close.
synonyms are jester, joker, merry andrew.
Yeah.
The gaily garbed harlequins of his court.
Yeah, I remember things like a court jester would be dressed, in a harlequin way.
Well, the nice thing about Danica is that she's also giving back to the community, and they're doing a big promotion with Destination Missoula, of which I'm a board member, and the Dunroven Ranch down the Bitterroot.
Right.
So
I know that ranch.
Yeah, you know that place, and you know the folks that run that.
Right.
So we'll have a good conversation with Danica.
Looking forward to it. There's a lot I don't know about this in our show. What do you know? We're going to find out a lot about a topic you and I know virtually nothing about.
100%, Arnie. Okay, we'll be back with Danica Winters. You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO, proudly presented and supported by Dawn Maddox Glacier Sotheby's International Realty. Back after this with Danica Winters. Okay, Arnie, we are back with Danica.
Danica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
In the lead-in, before you were here, we confess we know nothing about romance novels, about the paranormal aspect of romance novels, and I think maybe the first question really to ask you is, how did you choose this as your writing focus?
Okay, so it's actually a pretty fun story. I grew up here in Missoula, Montana. I was on bed rest with a baby, and I was like, I need to do something with my life. I'm not contributing. And so I started writing for Mama-Load magazine here in Missoula.
Sure, and we've had Elkie on the show before.
Elkie's fantastic.
So did you study writing in school?
I didn't, but I got a scholarship to the University of Montana out here, and I got an athletic scholarship to Minnesota, and I ended up taking the academic scholarship instead. So it kind of has
And of
worked
course, we
that
have to
way.
ask, what was the athletic scholarship for? What sport?
Track and field.
Ah,
Really?
I was a thrower. I don't look like it, thank
Really?
you. But yeah, I was
javelin?
Discus and shot put. I was top 10 in
discus
the
and
state
shot.
I threw
back in
shot.
the
I threw
day.
shot put in high school. So
Really?
yes, I did. Probably
That's
not
pretty
as far
awesome.
as you threw.
Where did you
No.
go to high school?
Big Sky.
Back
Back in the day. I won't tell you when I graduated.
It's okay. We're probably graduated before you.
For sure.
Thanks for making me feel better.
Good.
So you had the baby. You're sitting around.
I did,
You want to
and-
make a contribution.
and
You just
so-
started writing.
Like I said, I started writing these really short pieces.
Right, for
Elkie-
Mama-Load.
For Mama-Load. She started picking them up. I won a
What year is this?
competition through her, probably 2008, 2009.
Okay.
So it's not that long ago.
Not really. Well, I'm not that old. I'd like
No,
to say
you
that
don't
on
look
air.
that old
so.
either. You don't look that old at all.
And I decided to go that route. I mean, I won competitions, so then I wrote a.
Really? So you never had you written in high school? Have you
Yeah,
written
I wrote
things
in,
before?
I wrote in high school a little bit, but it was just a pastime. I had a dad who's like, you can't really make a living in English, so you need to do something else.
Right.
He's right.
I know, and I became an archaeologist.
Really?
Wow.
Another study you can't make any money
So
in.
has
But all your-
archaeology played a theme in any of your novels?
Absolutely.
'Cause I have to confess, I haven't read any of them.
It's okay. I didn't expect that you had.
But he will.
Well, I hope so. But then you're going to look at me all funny and be like, "Oh, I know her."
Yeah, I know her as he rips her bodice off.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Well, that's a great question, though, Arnie. Like, when are these novels set? Like, what's the time and what's the
Everything
setting?
I write is modern. I think that the people that can write historical fiction are just incredible. I mean, it takes
Because you got to
so
do a
much
lot of research.
and I do a ton of research.
Well, I
anyways.
know you did one related to fires and did a lot of research
Yes,
on
and
that.
I got to work with the Frenchtown Fire Department. Was fantastic. I went and I did interviews with them, and then I locked myself out of my car because I'm a big klutz when I meet these
But
people.
where are they set? There's a modern day setting in Montana.
Pretty much everything I write is either set in Montana or has throwbacks to Missoula, Montana.
Now, do all
On
of your
purpose.
writings now include some paranormal element?
No, all I write for Harlequin. So I'm on my 7th book with Harlequin.
Really?
Yeah. and-
Hold on one second. Don't go too fast. So, how did you get in touch with Harlequin? How did that happen?
Because he has.
There's so many stories to this.
I know.
Take our listeners through, take us through kind of like, all right, so
The
2008 Mama-Load, you're writing,
Yeah.
great experience, etc.
Well, I think it's really cool that I had this local tie where this is what kind of
Right.
empowered me and made me want to become an author. And I thought, this is a great way to give back to the communities. And so I actually ended up writing a short story, won a competition and a publishing contract through that.
Did you ever take a writing class?
No.
Really?
Not in college.
This is great.
What did you write in high school and just like for yourself?
I was AP English in high school. I mean, just pretty much a normal kid, just growing up here in town and had a dream.
And curious, always curious.
So you got a writing contract. You got a writing contract.
Yeah, I got a writing contract with this small publisher in Seattle. They loved the way I marketed. So they said, hey, let's give you a marketing job for this publishing company.
What do you mean by, what year was that, by the way?
2009, 2010. And that was
so
kind of the boom of
her.
social media. Yeah.
Right.
And so,
I see.
Yeah. So then I became a marketing manager for this small publishing house. We grew the publishing house to 400 authors, about 1,000 titles.
Wow.
It was fun. It was a really, really fun experience. I worked there for about 3 years, and then I decided, I'm going to pull back and really concentrate on my writing. And I wrote that next book. It was really hard because it kind of touched on domestic violence in Missoula, Montana, and these arsonists. And I had gotten an agent in the meantime, and my agent said, I don't think I can sell this. So my agent quit.
So you're still in Seattle, and this is when you're doing...
I'm working here out of Missoula.
You're working out of Missoula at this point. Where was your
Seattle.
agent out of?
She was in Oregon.
Huh.
Yeah, and so she said, I don't think I can sell this. I quit. Which is, for an author, like a huge blow.
Oh, that was an ego blow for sure.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, major.
I can't sell what you're putting your blood, sweat, and tears
Yeah,
into.
exactly. And I had spent 8 months writing this book, which is a long time for me. I can pump out a book now in 17 days.
Wow.
So let me ask you this. We're going to get back to the timeline. How do you get your inspirations to write something like that? I mean,
okay, this morning my new agent called me, and she goes, I need a new idea. And I'm laying in bed totally asleep, and I was like, okay, here we go. There's a CIA spook. And I just went off, and she's like, that's a brilliant idea. And
Really?
I was like, perfect. Okay.
So this just comes like a golf swing. It comes natural.
Well,
it comes naturally
I have
to
written
you.
so many pitches at this point, and I have done so many 90-second pitches with agents and editors from around the world that it isn't as challenging as it once was.
So which book has the greatest, support, had the greatest readership?
It's always my Montana books. It's these ones that are coming out of Harlequin now. I actually have a series that's coming out in August. That is, book 1 is in August, book 2 is in September. So it's Miscalculation, Mr. Serious, Mr. Taken, and Misdemeanor. They're all set in Lolo. Actually, we call it Mystery Montana.
Mystery Montana.
Yes, and we're giving away this trip. So that series has already started to kind of boom. And I can guarantee...
And we'll get to that with the Dunroven and Destination Missoula.
Yes, and I'm super excited about it.
So we're 2010, 2011.
Thank you for bringing me back.
No, because I like thinking in a linear way because I think it's impressive how fast your rise was. I mean, that's like 2008 is 9 years ago. That's nothing in the form
Publishing is like a hurry up and wait game.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
It really, really is. So like you can be dead for a year and then all of a sudden they're like, here's 10 book contracts. What are you going to do? Right. And that's kind of when it ended up happening. So back to my story about the agent fires me. Okay, so that's totally
I see a book right in this whole story she's telling.
It's kind of cool.
It's like
that'll happen.
Oh, I know, someday. So I ended up crying myself to sleep, and it was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I had met some other agents in Dallas, Texas, at this conference I was going to, and they had been approaching me. And I was like, well, this is pretty cool. Maybe I can sell this idea to somebody else. So I picked my top 3 agents, and all 3 came back to me.
And they got in touch with you or were familiar with you based on what?
What I had done.
Okay.
So some stories I've been putting out in social media. I mean, I love social media.
In this area, are the agents women or men?
Both.
Both, okay.
I ended up signing with a woman, and the junior agent was a man, and the junior agent ended up taking over for me. Right. So then this book idea... I was signed with them a day. I had quit that agency 3 weeks before that.
Right.
We were moving.
Yes.
And we sold the book to Harlequin on Twitter in 24 hours.
Oh, my God. So wait a second. Slow down.
Yeah, right? Like, that's crazy.
So how big was your audience that you had on social media?
Maybe about 12,000.
12,000, which is a lot. It's a lot to have a following of that many people.
Yeah, now I think I'm closer to maybe 27,000.
27,000.
So are your books mostly sold online? Are they digital or people?
Okay, so the books before Harlequin are mostly online.
Okay.
With Harlequin, they do a mass market publishing, which is totally different than...
Supermarkets.
Yeah, it's supermarkets. So you'll see
Costco.
my books... Well, Costco does trade.
Oh, okay.
So that's a little bit different.
Okay.
I already tried to get in Costco. They love me there, and I'm so glad to meet Amy, and she's awesome. But shout out to her. No, they're big in like Albertsons carries them, and Safeway carries them, and yeah.
So
across the country.
Across the country. And in Netherlands and France and all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
So a hit Harlequin novel has how many readers?
Oh, that's hard to say. I mean, they have a really interesting business model. So they actually have direct-to-consumer model, and then they have mass market shelf model. So, I can't really say. There's so many variables across the board.
Right.
Like there's B.J. Daniels, who is also a Montana Harlequin author, the only other Harlequin author.
Right.
And she probably sells, and I'm guessing here, probably 150,000 copies.
Of each title.
Of each title.
Right.
Wow.
And where do you think
And
you're
that might be low.
And where do you think you're at, roughly? You don't want to say?
I don't want to say, but I'm doing well. But I'm
Okay.
definitely, B.J. Daniels has been writing, I think she's written 120 novels.
Let's do a quick ID. Our guest is Danica Winters. You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO. Arnie, back to you.
So I'm curious about this, the topics. How did, because you're described in a lot of the literature as writing, and I know they're not all, but paranormal, romance novels. So what does that mean? Tell me
Okay,
what that
so
means.
I started in, my first novel picked up by a big house, which is Simon & Schuster, was paranormal. And so that's kind of where I kind of got my romance legs, let's say. So
Right.
I write what I call light romance, and I'm kind of hit with that sometimes. Some people like it more sci-fi, but I like those characters.
Sci-fi meaning alien comes from outer space and romance?
Well,
and stuff
fantasy sci-fi where they're just like almost Game of Thrones-ish, and that's definitely not what I write. I write more like light paranormal, so it can be everyday romances where somebody just kind of has an extra ability, like a sixth sense. So, yeah, it's really, really fun.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's
Do you know
really
someone
cool.
like that? Are these characters based on people you know?
Like I said, I did a ton of research for all of these things, and I'm open-minded, but I was like pretty cynical about some of these
Sure.
things. So the more and more I researched, I was like, this can't be totally.
It's not all coincidence.
No, and so
No.
there's actually a Wiccan shop here in Missoula that I went and I sat in on for like a week to hear what people were saying and see how they practiced, because I had no idea. I'm
Right.
kicking the dust off my boots when I go to New York, right? Like,
Right.
So I have no idea. And it was just totally eye-opening. It was very, very interesting.
So
and I
you
think I
s-
love that part of my job the best.
So some of your characters have this other sense that comes through in the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you say light romance, you're talking about what? Like they're just like boy meets
PG?
girl.
Light
girl-
paranormal.
Light paranormal, but heavy
Okay.
romance?
Well,
And is this PG?
It's, I would say, like
PG-13.
PG-13.
Yeah.
NC-17?
Maybe some of them.
See, Arnie, no.
You're going to start reading these, I know, Scott.
Well, Arnie, there
You're
is
gonna be
a-
your biggest fan.
I do have one story to tell you,
Yeah.
which is just related. Okay, Zane is an African-American storyteller. She writes erotica,
Right.
right?
That's totally different than what I do.
No, I know it is. I know it is. But
Well, so did Anne Rice under a pseudonym,
Yes.
yeah,
as you
exactly.
know.
Under a pseudonym.
Yes.
But every one of the all these authors, like Zane, was she actually had an AOL hometown page or something back in the early OOs, and she would be writing and sending pre-social media,
Right.
sending a story out as an attachment, and they looked at the pass along rate, and they said this reached 300,000 people. Okay,
Yeah.
they signed her on the spot. This was Simon and Schuster. It was Atria Books, and she has her own HBO show, her own Cinemax show. So where you're
It's
going,
pretty amazing.
Right.
yeah, because you're the author, so you're the writer, so you can go into many different directions. Correct?
Right. Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
thought about writing for television or for
So
movies?
pretty cool. I set a story here in Missoula, Montana. It's just a short story. And I actually own a publishing company here in Missoula as well.
You do.
I do.
What's the name of it?
Self-publishing services.
Self-publish. It's called Self-Publishing Services.
I'm an SEO boss.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, we actually put a compilation of 7 authors from around the state, and we said, let's all write short stories and center them here and put it out. And we ended up doing
Are all
that.
these women?
All women, yeah,
Okay.
all romances.
Female writers.
Right.
And light romances, so kind of the sweetsy, kind of cutesy thing. And we ended up hearing back from a studio out of Hollywood who said, we're interested in making these for Hallmark. So we are
That's
still waiting on hearing back, but what a cool, film is super slow.
Then you need. Do you need a
Right.
different agent for that, or the same agent?
I have a pretty awesome agent.
And are you the lead author in this?
Yeah.
Good. It's
Yeah.
always good to have control.
It is good. And it's my company. So, I own it with 2 other ladies. here
Right.
in
So
Missoula,
this is
but
you as the company, not as the author per se.
Both.
Both.
It was kind of
So you're
fun.
a contributor, but you're also running the shop.
But it ended up where all 7 of these authors, many of them weren't contracted with agents, ended up signing with agents. So it was a launching pad for their careers as
So you
well.
could have something called the Danica series on Hallmark, right?
It would be awesome.
That would be
I'm not
great.
Debbie Maycomer yet, but it would be pretty
That would be
cool.
incredible.
So you have obviously a firm grasp on social media. Do you interact with your readers?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
How?
I had a friend or a reader, I like to call her a friend. I travel all over the country promoting my books. So this week I'm heading to Idaho, then I go to Florida, then I go to Georgia.
And where do you
Chicago.
promote them? Where do you promote them?
I go to local bookstores, do signings, and a lot of times I do these big conferences. In romance world, there's a conference called Romance Times, and that has about 5,000 people that go to it. And last year I went, I think ended up signing for hours. I mean, I couldn't even move my hand by the time I was done. It was so much fun.
Question: when you go to these events, book signings, is it the you that's in front of us right now, or is there any do you?
This is all I've got.
But I'm saying there's no character that you're assuming.
No, this is absolutely who I am. And
that's kind of cool.
When I signed with Harlequin, they go, "You're really authentic," and I'm like, "Is that a really nice way of putting me down?" I'm not
it's
really
actually
sure.
you're relatable.
No.
Yeah, and
you're relatable.
Well, and I'm a huge klutz, so a lot of my characters ends up
Being
doing
klutz.
these
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
And,
somewhat based
One of
on-
my editors was like, "You can't write a Bella Swan. There's too much Bella Swan." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll pull that back, but write what you know, right?"
Yeah,
sure.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was the girl at prom who had toilet paper in her shoe. Just throwing
Just so
that
you
out
know?
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
You
right,
walked
that's
out
the
of the
level.
bathroom, hopefully. So wait a minute. So you do the challenging. So I mean the touring, and you're going to Idaho. Where else do you go?
So I'm flying to Florida.
Where in
there's
Florida?
Orlando.
Oh,
Taking
how nice.
the family and going down there. And
Wonderful.
So all of my trips are generally work trips. It's kind of fun.
And do you speak at conferences
I do.
about writing
Oh,
and about
absolutely.
getting people
So
committed
I just
to
did
doing this?
MizCon here in Missoula.
Yes.
And did 3 classes there. My former agent was there. We taught together, so that was pretty fun. I'm on my 3rd agent, so that was.
Danica, look, and I don't mean to be gauche or talk about money, but do you get paid to go to these events?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, so I'm going to one in Detroit. They're paying all of my airfare. They're paying everything from Missoula, Montana, hotels.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great. And that one I'm actually teaching on marketing. So I don't just teach on writing romance. Sometimes I
Right.
teach on marketing. Sometimes I teach on building author platforms. Sometimes I just.
Have you ever done a TED Talk?
No, but I'd love to.
You want to, right?
I totally do.
'Cause that's
That'd be a good audience.
wouldn't that
Yeah.
be a good
Yeah.
audience?
You know what I really like? I love the podcast, The Art of Charm. That one's one of my
okay.
very favorite. Jordan Harbinger. He is a Mac daddy at social media.
Is that right?
He is. He's fantastic.
Have you thought about doing your own podcast?
Well, I don't have the knowledge. I would like to do it.
But if you're able to sit and teach people and to give lectures on
I mean,
certain
on like
subjects,
the tech part of it.
right? But you,
Right.
but
Yeah.
Are any of your books in audio form?
Yeah, some of them are.
So people can listen to one. The drive to work, you could be.
Absolutely. And plus, the greatest thing about podcasts are they're just tapping into your character, and then wherever you want to take them, they'll go with
Well,
you.
I would probably embarrass myself pretty badly, but I'm totally on board with this. You want to help me?
Yeah, we
Okay,
can help you.
yeah, let's do it.
Arnie, I actually feel like what we're trying to do is what we're doing is like a podcast as well, although it's on commercial radio. Most of commercial radio, there is a podcast component where it's bonus footage.
Yeah.
It's
Well, as
extra-
our listeners know,
it's
they can
overtime.
pick up all of our shows on YouTube. Then the next day.
But I think we're going to migrate in the new year, in the new coming school year, into a podcast platform, because what's great about that is that you don't need to be connected to consume.
Exactly.
Which is the key, which is a barrier for us with YouTube. But anyway, back to you.
So-
No, I'm
so-
excited about that idea.
so-
It sounds awesome.
Are your novel? You mentioned Europe. Are they translated into other languages?
They are. They're translated into Dutch and French, and they could go into German and Hindi. Mm-hmm. So we'll
Oh
see.
my God, it's a huge market.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so we'll see what ends up happening. I do have a large platform in Australia, but that's not a second language, so that's pretty nice.
Right.
And I actually have just got my French copies for one of my latest novels, and it's crazy the different formatting, and it's beautiful.
What about
It's
in
a beautiful
India?
book.
For
I
you?
would like to get
I mean,
there.
India. You would think with Bollywood, this would be a natural, fit.
Well, their
with the-
consumerism is a little bit different than American consumerism, so you have to take that into consideration.
Right.
And some of my books, like I said, I talked about domestic violence in a Harlequin. That's like totally unheard of,
Right.
and that
Pushing the
wouldn't
envelope.
fit there.
Right.
And so we have to not maybe put that one there, but maybe the next series will approach
Sure.
them.
Are there any animals in your novels?
Oh, heck yeah.
What types?
So I'm a big...
Bad dates. Yeah, right.
I love dogs and cats and horses, and I'm like a super animal junkie.
So
I
are we.
actually totally just put my cat on Twitter today because he is a fat little nugget, and I love him.
I'm showing you a picture that Kathy, my wife, just took of the new rescue cat that we just brought in.
Oh, you got one.
I saw that today
You saw
on
it?
social media.
Yes. Oh, because it was on the Missoula Nissan.
Yes, I totally saw that.
That's my client.
What a baby.
Yes.
So
good cat.
So
by the
when
way.
you do these series, is there recurring characters?
They're all connected. So my Irish Traveler series, which is the one that is paranormal that just came out,
Right.
it's all the same main two characters, and they ended up kind of creating a new world at the Adair Manor in Ireland, which is a real place.
I know.
I actually got to talk to the owners and stuff.
Cool.
It was really cool. So yeah, but that's kind of a different take on romance. Normally, romance you have just two main characters, and then like the brother, and then the
Right.
sister, and then the cousin, and that's definitely what
Sure.
I'm doing with Harlequin.
And how? This is just an offshoot question. How do you come up with the names?
I actually go to my fans for that a lot.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, I love to have naming competitions on my website, and I actually have a street team, which is like a fan club. And I send out this newsletter to them, and I'm like, "Hey, what do you guys think? Let's take the poll, or if you want a new idea, let's put that in there." And so, like, we came up with Starling and Harper, and like these really cute names that I loved. Yeah, and I mean, definitely wouldn't have come up with them, like, because I'm more like, "Oh, there's a bill," like, you know what I mean?
Let's do a quick ID. Our guest is Danica Winters. We are talking about Harlequin romance novels, light romance, Arnie, between you and me, and some animals and some paranormal.
So I want to hear a little bit about the connection to some of the charitable work and that you're involved in.
Oh, so I actually was Kappa Alpha Theta here in Missoula when I went to the university, and they kind of pushed philanthropic work. And so I have come into my adult life carrying that as well, and I think it's super important to give back. When I started writing, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know Elke. I just was submitting to her magazine via online platforms.
Sure.
And so I really felt alone. And so that's what led me into giving my time to teach people who want to write. And then, with this domestic violence angle, there's so many people, especially here, that deal with domestic violence, not just women. And it's a varying socioeconomic level problem. It's not, welfare kids. It's not any of that.
Right.
I mean, everybody experiences it. So with my last series, I ended up getting donations from local businesses in Missoula and across the world. So people were sending me books from Germany. They were sending me books from France. It was really, really cool. I had a whole room of swag. And we did raffles with fact and fiction books. We did a big event there and ended up raising, and thanks to Kohl's actually donated a ton of money to this project here in Missoula. And we ended up raising about $5,000 for the YWCA.
Well, that's great. That's very good.
That
and
is great.
what are you involved with that impacts Danica?
Well, no. So Danica's doing a big promotion on behalf of Destination Missoula and the Dunroven Ranch. And talk to us a little bit about that. What's the time
So
frame?
that's coming up with the new series that's coming out this fall that I kind of touched on. I'm super excited about this. Destination Missoula approached me and as well as Dunroven Ranch about let's get together, let's cross promote this event and your books. And so we're actually doing a fundraiser. We're having an event on August 19th called Horse of a Different Color.
Yes.
Where artists from around Montana are coming in and actually painting live horses. So all the
painting
money,
live horses or doing paintings of live horses?
No, painting on live horses.
What?
I've seen
is
something
the
in
coolest
social media
thing
about
ever.
horses with polka dots on them.
Yes, that's kind of what's
What kind
going
of
on here.
what are they painting them with? Food coloring?
I don't know. That's a good question, but I think it's obviously it's animal safe.
PETA.
It's probably
We hope so.
like
We hope so.
cornstarch.
We may have to have a follow-up.
Yeah.
No, I promise.
interview
I
with
promise
you.
it's safe. I promise.
All right.
Good.
So
So they end up.
Suzanne over at the Dunroven
Suzanne
Ranch.
Miller is awesome.
Oh, she's
She is a
amazing.
hoot. And Kelly, her horse trainer, they've been giving me free horseback riding lessons, and that has been an
Really?
adventure. I fell off a horse in front of their live stream cam. It was awesome.
You're kidding me. Were you okay?
Oh, I was absolutely
'Cause you
fine.
never wanna land
well,
on
I
your-
didn't
When you
actually,
fell off, did you have toilet toilet paper in your shoe?
Probably did. No, I didn't actually fall off the horse. I fell off the chair getting on the horse.
Oh,
that makes
was
it even
better.
worse.
What's good about the radio is you can't see how many
I
shades
know.
of red she's
I am
blushing.
so
Yeah,
sweating
exactly.
right now.
Don't sweat, Danica. Wait a minute. So then you're doing this thing on behalf of the new series that you're doing with Dun Rover Ranch and Destination Missoula. It starts with a horse painting event.
It starts with a
So we're
horse
trying to
painting
figure that out.
event. Cafe Friends is going to cater this event.
Okay.
Then a couple of country music artists are going to be there singing and playing. It's going to be just awesome. I'm
That's really
super
sounds-
A
excited
real
about
event
it.
at Dun Rover.
Yeah, but all the money that we generate from this event are going to go to equine therapy programs. So women that are
And they
escaping
do a great
domestic
job.
violence.
They do a great job on that.
They really, really do. Dunroven is a great,
Very good on
great
that.
place.
Do you ever watch her Osprey Cam?
Yes.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
You could peek. It's like the NSA for animals.
Did you see their new baby horse though? They have Augie, and Augie is just a little nugget, and he like snuggles you. His little foal.
Oh,
little
really?
colt.
Wow.
Yeah, he is so sweet, and he's a Palomino. He's
What do you mean a baby horse? So it's like a little
obviously
miniature?
it's like a
Gonna grow up
colt.
to a real
No,
horse.
I was there a week after it was born for a
It's a
riding
stunted
lesson.
horse?
No, they have those little minis.
No,
but
he
this
was actually
isn't one.
born really big, but to me, it's a baby horse. You know,
Sure.
I'm like, oh,
Or a pony?
So let me ask you some practical things.
Okay.
You have children.
I do.
How many?
2.
Do you have
of
a
each.
set writing schedule? Because obviously you have a life outside of
How
that
do you do
work.
that?
And most
No.
people don't leave and go to an office to write, right?
Okay,
You write at home.
I own a company and I do this writing, so
Right.
pretty much all of my day is work. Like I probably answered 50, 60 emails before I showed up this morning. Like bam, bam, bam,
Really?
bam, bam. Oh yeah, because I work with people all over the world. So I like yesterday I had to go to a birthday party. It's in Rock Creek, so I'm like, all right, I have 30-minute drive. I know I can hammer out 1,000 words in a 30-minute drive. You're driving, I'm writing. So I wrote there on the way
Who's
there.
the driver? Who's the they?
My husband.
Okay, your husband.
Yeah, and so
So is he involved in the business too?
Oh, absolutely. I actually ended up having to hire him for our company to format books. And I was like, because I can't do it all. I just am spread too thin with traveling and doing all these things. So we actually have subcontractors for our company. We work with probably about 30 different people. And I try to hire as many people from Montana as I can, even though it's
That's
my
wonderful.
business.
But who are you dealing with overseas? Just different publishers?
Authors.
Authors?
Yes.
For your company?
Yes. So I'm working with somebody from Haiti right now. I work with a lot of Canadian authors. So, yeah.
And what's the website for your company?
Selfpublishingservices.com.
Selfpublishingservices.com. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, over the years, I've worked with a lot of writers. Most of them are introverted. You know, they're quiet. They're shy. They want their space.
Am I
They
breaking
don't-
your bubble?
Yeah, you're totally changing my perception of the writing community.
Well, you know, writing has really changed because
yeah, obviously. I mean, there's a whole other aspect of the. It's more of a business now because of marketing.
That's right.
And
really,
social
really
media.
is. And I hate to say it, but I think authors that don't have a little bit of extrovert in them have a harder time because you can't just be a total right-brainer in this anymore, where you used to be able to do that. You used to be able to just pour your heart and soul into your book and the publisher would handle it.
Right.
No, I mean, now they're
So
like,
it's
what are you
changed.
doing? What are you doing to promote
They want
yourself?
people that can promote it. They want people that have built-in audiences. Otherwise, that's influencing. It's the same thing with the music business.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
It's any form of content creation. They want to know that you have a built-in audience because it's an
Absolutely.
easier bet.
Yeah.
So here's the other question that's that curious minds want to know. Mm-hmm. Cover art.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
I mean, it's
Who does
critical,
that?
right? It's critical. I remember the whole thing with Fabian, right? You know, and
Okay.
the long locks of hair and
Fabio is
excuse
an
me.
awesome dude, though.
you've met him.
Met him.
No, all of my friends have met this guy, and I'm like, okay, now I have to meet Fabio. I want to snuggle with Fabio. Like,
Yeah.
Still looks good after all these
Screw
years.
the horse.
he's
Let's
like-
go for Fabio.
okay, so in my job, I do meet a ton of these cover models, and I would like to say that they're all very, like rocket scientists.
Yeah.
That's not true.
No.
Most of them actually are male strippers that come over
Really?
and decide to be cover models for romance novels. So hopefully that helps some women out there.
Arnie,
There
you
has
see you
to-
have another career.
Yeah. I would imagine, you know, for some folks as they're walking past the book aisle at Safeway, right? They look over and, the covers, capture their attention.
So I have a book, Mr. Serious. If you pull it up, you can see the hottie on the cover there, and he's holding a kid. Okay, I love this cover.
Oh, yeah.
A kid? You mean like a sheep?
Like a 3-year-old little girl.
Oh, girl.
Okay.
Buy
So
this book or I'll kill this kid.
A lamb.
oh, that's awful. No. So that guy is actually on Canadian Bachelorette. He's a contestant on the show.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
And it's kind of cool. So he emailed me after his photo shoot. I don't know any of these cover models. I don't generally. They Harlequin does all of their art in Toronto. So
somebody at Harlequin, let me get this. So you write your story.
Yeah.
You write your book. Somebody reads it because I have to know the cover has something.
No,
to
I fill out forms.
Oh, really?
I have to write like 8 different blurbs for the back of the book. They go, you have 50 words, you have 150 words, you have 300 words.
So based on the blurb, they pick a cover.
Yeah, and I tell them kind of the tone of the colors that I want, and hey, this is what the guy should look like. I send them a model picture that I have in mind. They don't always listen.
Who's the model for Smoke and Ashes?
He's a hottie McButterpants too, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
I mean, I'm assuming you're looking at the man, not the woman on the cover.
I'm saying he's a good-looking guy. I see a horse and a woman.
Yes.
On Montana Mustangs.
Oh, I like that one. I got to have a little bit more say with that one because the publisher wasn't as big at the time as Harlequin. So they actually ended up putting a horse that was facing backwards. So I'm like, we can't have a horse's butt on my cover. I'm sorry. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. So that's about the only pushback I get with those covers.
Who's
Harlequin.
Miscalculation? Who is
right? I don't know her.
She's a cutie.
That's actually the UK cover.
That's the UK cover?
Yeah, that you just pulled up.
That's what it goes to show you what they think of Montana.
So let me ask you, give me, is there a profile of a typical reader, or do they cover the gamut?
Oh, I have met a ton of different types of readers. I have a lot of men that like my books. I know that you laugh at that, but they do. I mean, because
are they living in their mother's basement?
They might. I mean, no, absolutely not.
No.
A lot of them are overseas, like Americans overseas. So,
okay.
Yeah, men
Expats.
who are or men who are in the military who are deployed.
Right.
They like kind of the romance side of things. Yeah, so I get a lot of fan letters. Let's see, I think most of my women are readers, females 35 to probably 65, high school educated. I could tell you all kinds of demographics here, but I'm not going to nerd on
you need
you.
to know that for your SEO work.
I do.
Right.
Okay.
So I can get tighter than that. You can delete all that, though.
Is the audience more Caucasian, or do you have, does this appeal
that's
across?
That's a tough question.
Does it appeal across different groups?
Well, actually, the two heroes on Mr. Taken and Mr. Serious, are Native American descent. So I try to create diversity in all of my books. I have a lot of LGBT friends, so I try to create and put that in as much as I can.
Sure.
So yeah, I have a very diverse readership base.
You know, and it's fascinating to me because this is sort of like
Absolutely.
an underground thing that on a daily basis, Scott and I would not generally come in contact with.
So that's funny you call it underground, because in publishing world, we are the Mac Daddies. We own 40% of the publishing market, period.
That's incredible.
Right? Listen, the fact of the matter is that Danica's going to bookstores to do book signings. People are thinking, oh, bookstores don't exist anymore. They sure do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? They're still like this, like you still have the Barnes
And
and
we
Nobles.
mentioned at the beginning of the show before you came on that things like 50 Shades of Grey and The Notebook and everything sort of fall in that general, category.
Yeah.
But those are mass market. I mean,
Yeah.
you're doing so. What type of stores are you doing book signings at? Like the
Fact
book
and Fiction.
like Book Soup, like Fact and Fiction.
Yeah, I love
that version.
I love Barnes and Nobles too. The Missoula Barnes and Noble folks are just so nice to work with. And
Good.
Yeah, I brought them chocolate covered strawberries, and so we're buddies. Yeah.
So is there any thought of, and I don't even know if this term applies in the literary world, of a novel that would cross over from being in this category to being a more general book?
So they like to have fine limits
Right.
on whatever you're writing. You have to be defined. You can't be like, I write fiction, but it's nonfiction, but it's paranormal, and it's sci-fi, and it's... No, you will never sell that book for authors out there. I mean, you'll never, ever, ever sell that book. You have to be like, this is romantic suspense, present day, 5 days... You know what I mean? Like, you have to really, really narrow your search down. And that's just because of the marketing aspect of it, I think, anymore. I mean, we've lost the ability to have some of that freedom, because if you get too vague, then you're never going to sell.
Right.
And
If you
Sure.
ever decided to go to your publisher or to go to your agent and say, I feel like I should be doing a cookbook. Like
they would laugh me out of the room.
They would laugh you, right? Because it's like starting all over again. Like that's not where you're proven.
The publisher I worked for actually was like, let's start doing cookbooks. And I'm like, as your marketing person here, I'm going to go with absolutely not.
Right.
This is the dumbest thing you
But
can
would they
possibly
say
do.
the same thing if you said, I have a really interesting mystery story
Now,
that
if
might
it
have a
kind of-
broader base?
Yeah, you can do that kind of move. I mean,
Right.
because suspense kind of has a mystery aspect to it anyways. So what I would like to do eventually, and this is like long-term focus, what I do right now is called categories. So they're really short reads. They're kind of like if you're in the airport and you have a 2-hour flight, this is the book for you.
Right.
Right? But single titles are more like Nora Roberts.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
they're like the 90,000 words, like you're going to spend 5 days reading it. I would like to branch into that, but anymore, I mean, it's so very, very hard. And so I'm going to have to like put out probably 50 more books before I can be.
Can we talk economics for a quick second? So do
I'm
you
going to
get...
blush.
No. I mean,
Okay.
is it? Do you get paid? Is it paid like where you get an advance against sales?
So it depends on your publisher.
Right.
Small publishers don't do that anymore. Larger publishers do.
Okay.
But what used to be, so I talked to a guy the other day here in Missoula at MisCon. He said, in 2005, I made $150,000 advance. Yeah, those are, you don't get
gone.
Those
those.
days are gone.
Yeah, you don't get that. Nobody gets that. Well,
it's changing
I mean,
the,
some
it's changing the
single
music
title they
world
do.
too. So I mean, all that stuff is
In all publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's still, like, Sylvia Day probably gets part of that. You know what I mean? Like, she gets a pretty big chunk.
But you're paid by the assignment or by sales?
So in advances, you're paid by what they look at a P&L, a profit and loss.
Right.
They go, this is what I think you can perform at. And so they give you a percentage of that.
Okay.
I mean, as an author, you're never going to see that. You're never going to know. And your agent's job is to go in and say, no, we want more. Or
And they do
this
an
is what
audit.
we want. And we don't want, well, it's a contract negotiation. Kind
Sure.
of. And so they go, we don't want to give them world rights. We don't want to give them radio rights. We don't want to give them film rights or whatever you can do to kind of fluff the
Holdbacks.
deal for the author.
So a natural, and we're going to take a break in 2 minutes, but a natural place for you to go, obviously, is if you go into like screenplay writing, or things of that nature, where you can take your expertise and apply it to a different media
I
format.
could go that direction. There's Missoula author Michael Hodges. He does kind of that. He's
Yes.
going from books to film, and that's a tough jump. I mean, good for
is.
him. It's really cool. But I don't know that that's. I like my readers.
You
I
do. Sure.
love
Good.
my readers, and so I would love to continue entertaining them as much as I can.
So you mentioned, when I get to 50 books or 50 more books, do you have plot ideas lined up ahead of time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't just sell them and say, hey, I want to write 4 more books. It's not that simple. You
Right.
have to put together an entire proposal for them and a marketing plan often. I don't have to do that particular part of it anymore. But,
Wow.
yeah, it's nice.
And while you're writing, I know you say you can turn these out pretty quickly. Do you run into writer's block like a lot of
Oh,
writers
heck yeah. I think that's totally normal. And especially, being a mom and having this other stuff going on, there's days where you get slammed, and there's days where people are awful to you, and there's days where people are critiquing your books, and that happens a lot. And I think that's probably the hardest part of being an author for me is sitting there and reading these reviews that people and you they didn't read the book.
do? Right.
You
And
know,
they're just-
they didn't because they
That's
don't
the
even know the
hardest part
characters.
for an artist.
Of course, the ego is very
Let's
fragile under that condition.
Let's take a quick break. You're listening to What Do You Know? Our guest is Danica Winters. After the break, we'll have our final words with Danica and figure out what's next in the world of light romance,
You could just call it
light romance novels. Back after this. We are back with Danica Winters. We're having fun.
Yes. So, Danica, tell me about reviews.
Okay, so
I mean, because, in social media, you leave yourself wide open for people to
You
come
really
online
do.
and tell you what they think, whether they've even read the book or not,
well,
right?
that's the funny thing. Like, I was on USA Today with a book, and some troll, it was absolutely
Right.
troll, was like, you are so racist, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not. And you can't say anything. And that's the worst part is you can't defend yourself. You just have to stand there.
I'm
Keep
sorry
your head
you feel
above.
that way.
Yeah, exactly. Keep your head above the cloud and take it. Take hits all the time. And so, I always tell people, if you really love an author, if you really want to support an author, go on Amazon, go on Barnes & Noble, and write them a good review. Because, I mean, that's the best thing for their career you can possibly
in the movie world, you go and look at Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I'm going to go see Dunkirk on Thursday when it opens here. It's got 98 on Rotten Tomatoes. That leads me to believe it's probably pretty good, although sometimes it's wrong.
Yeah.
When you're buying a book, I go to Amazon or whatever and read to see what people think of it. Not to give away the plot, but just to get a sense of whether people thought it was good. You have to be careful with
that. So Amazon's kind of a rotten system. I love Amazon, and I like John Fine. He's one of the CEOs there. But it's a little broken. Right. So, and I hate saying that on tape. Yeah. But so what people are doing, and it's not just in the book industry, it's everywhere, is they buy reviews. I won't go there. I think that is awful. And so a lot of these people are burgeoning their really terrible books that haven't even been edited with 4,000 reviews.
Right. So which source do you like? Do you think that's genuine?
What do you mean?
For reviews.
Oh, I like Goodreads.
Goodreads?
Yeah, that's kind of a online book club. Right. I mean, but there you get trolls too. You're going to get trolls everywhere. Like I had a book that I hadn't even written yet, and it had a 1-star review.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I hadn't even written.
Haters
I was like,
be hating.
I know, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
And do you have I'm your biggest fan? Do you have people, not quite stalkers, but people?
Oh, I have stalkers.
That people just want, they can't wait for the next
Swim
one.
Fan.
Oh, I have people that will fly across the country to see me if they know I'm going to be at an event. Oh, yeah. And I had,
Can they bring bagels and pizza?
They bring me sandwiches a lot.
They do?
I had one bring me vodka, and I'm like, you're my friend forever.
Oh.
And then she told me she loved me, and I was like, okay, we're not friends.
We're not friends.
I mean, yeah.
I really don't. Right. So let me ask you a question. What's it like writing dialogue? Because to me that would seem to be the hardest part of writing is in someone's voice.
Okay, so I have ridiculous friends. You know some of my friends.
Yes.
That say ridiculous things, and sometimes those ridiculous things get into the novels. Yeah,
is that right?
I haven't read your book. Do you write always in the first person, or do you write in third person? Third person.
Yeah, and then I write from a male perspective and from a female perspective. So,
any chance of having a balding Jewish character in your? I
have
novels?
Them. Yes,
you do.
My last agent was a balding Jewish man, and so I put him into.
What was his name?
Lane.
What?
Lane Haymont.
Yes. Haymont. That's not his name.
That's not. I'm sure it's a pen.
Pen name.
Yeah. I'm positive it is.
Sir Lance, Johnson.
It's probably Holowitz or something in his real name. Yeah. Sorry, that's funny. We can't make fun of that on air.
Schmalky Bernstein.
But dialogue is, you enjoy it.
It's really fun. Yeah, I really do enjoy it. So I was at dinner last night with the friends, and they were like, let's do Shiloh the man bear. He's half man, half bear for your next romance novel. And, the conversations you end up having are just ridiculous. And they're so much fun. And I think that is the theme of my life.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean, it's like Beauty and the Beast. How hard is it to fall in love with a beast who's rich and has a castle?
I know, right? He's so mean to me.
Makes it so easy.
Look at these ball gowns.
Yeah. Look, it's a mansion.
It's kind of like The Bachelor and Bachelorette. I'm hooked to these shows. I'm not going to lie. Right. But I'm like, you're not around your house.
That's a story for you about a scorned bachelor on The Bachelor show who goes after.
Hey, I could get that same cover model again.
Be perfect for it.
And he could switch the cast leg,
Yeah, right, exactly.
Let's ask a quick question here. So now we have the Dunroven promotion that's going on for the month of August into September, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. How can people find out more information about you, Danica?
And your books.
You can actually go to my website. It's danicawinters.net. We're doing the giveaway on my blog right now, so if you just head over there, you can check it out. That's and share it with your out-of-town family. That's kind of what I've been telling my local friends.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Get your family to come, and we'll
and
have
you're
a
on
thing.
Facebook and Instagram?
And I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I don't do a lot there. I love Twitter. I'm a huge Twitter junkie. I'm always pushing stuff from Missoula. I'm always pushing stuff from Montana. So if you have a company, if you want to have me kind of shout out, I love doing that. So
great. She's a marketer
at
too.
Danica Winters.
Cross-marketing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Affinity marketing.
There's a guy in the White House that could probably use you.
We won't go there.
And on that note, Danica, it's been a pleasure having you. The time's gone very quickly.
Thank you so much.
You're going to have 2 new readers now, I think.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
You're a delightful guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you next week, Scott.
Okay, see you then, Arnie. Thank you for listening to What Do You Know?
I can't wait for the next show, Scott.
I'm excited too, Arnie. If you'd like to suggest a guest, send me an email at scottrichman@townsquaremedia.com. We'll see you next week. And thanks for listening to Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290, 1015 FM,
and newstalkkgvo.com.